A few weeks ago we looked at 7 great character redesigns over the years, which if you haven't watched already you absolutely should. Anyway, today we're looking at the other end of the spectrum, this time 7 character redesigns that in this case absolutely sucked and were a major step back. Let's start with one of the most well-known redesigns that really fell flat, DANTE from 2012's Devil May Cry reboot. This DANTE was hated by the majority of fans, not only because it completely altered the look of the character they knew and loved, right down to his iconic white hair, but also gave this new incarnation of DANTE an overly angsty emo personality that really didn't go over well. Although the game itself was actually not that bad, I in fact quite enjoyed it, it was not what most fans of the series wanted at all. With that said, if you hated the redesign in the final game, well things could have been worse, much worse. The original reveal trailer for the game showed an even more drastic redesign that was more emo, angst and troubled, and it's this redesign we thankfully never got that I think truly sucked and rightfully earns its place as one of the choices on this list. Moving on to the next character, we have probably the most nonsensical redesign quite possibly ever. Bomberman has always been this cute, colourful and cartoony character, however in 2006 we got a version of him that was totally unrecognisable in Bomberman Act Zero. Act Zero released when both the new HD consoles had just hit the market, right around the time when games like Gears of War were top dog, and apparently every game needed to look dark, brown and edgy. Bomberman sadly was one of the worst casualties of this new trend. This version of the character gave us a strange generic looking android with an oversized hand. The design wasn't faithful to the original, creative or good in any way. It wasn't like you could even ignore the horrendous change in aesthetics and focus on the gameplay, as they were just as poor, thankfully meaning this was the first and last time we'd get more games based on this reboot. Next is a redesign that doesn't exactly look awful like the previous two, but is a good example of an unnecessary redesign to a character that was a step backwards. Ratchet's design never really changed much over the years, only subtly evolved, but really peaked in 2009's A Crack in Time, which also happened to be an incredibly good game. Despite that, the series would go through a number of years of experimentation afterwards, with the first of which being a co-op game called All for One. Although Ratchet's design in All for One is still distinctly Ratchet, they removed the fur from his body and gave him a younger, less mature look that just didn't look as good. This design would carry on through the next 2 releases, Full Frontal Assault and Into the Nexus, before reverting back to the more traditional design in the Ratchet & Clank remake that released in 2016. Speaking of anthropomorphic animals, Crash Bandicoot got a pretty horrible redesign when the series received a complete reboot in 2007 with Crash of the Titans. This redesign gave Crash somewhat of a weird skater punk vibe, sporting baggy shorts and Converse shoes, but most confusingly, gave him random tribal tattoos down each arm. The result ultimately ended up being what I imagine some out-of-touch corporate head thought the kids would think is totally rad. The rest of the cast also received pretty shocking and equally awful redesigns that left many of them unrecognisable. Thankfully, with the release of the Insane Trilogy last year, we have a design that's completely faithful to his 90s roots that shows us sometimes it's best to leave classic love designs well enough alone. Sadly, it wasn't just Crash who suffered, as fellow 90s platformer Spyro the Dragon went under the knife, and the results almost made me appreciate Crash's 2007 redesign. Almost. Since Insomniac moved on from the series in 2000, there have been several games from different developers that altered the little purple dragon's design that never really captured the essence of the original trilogy, but none quite destroyed the character like Skylanders' Spyro's Adventure. Despite appearing in the title, it wasn't even a true Spyro game. He was just shoehorned in as one of the many playable characters in order to market it better. Regardless, Skylanders gave us a Spyro that left a lot to be desired, looking like it was the subject of years of inbreeding and a head-on collision with a bus, not quite the Spyro we remember him as. Thankfully, just like Crash, the original games are being remade for release in September of this year with a design that is less vomit-inducing and more pleasing to the eyes. The 6th character is YUNA from Final Fantasy X-2. In the first game, YUNA was a relatively shy, timid young woman who wore a modest dress that matched her role and personality. When the sequel X-2 released, Square Enix said to hell with all that and gave her a far more sexualized appearance and wardrobe, wearing a low-cut top and small shorts. She also utilized guns and sported a more adventurous personality, with the opening scene showing her as a pop idol, a situation you never would have originally pictured her in at all. Overall, Yuna's character change in X-2 just felt kind of weird and unnecessary. Lastly, we have Knuckles from the offshoot Sonic series, Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom redesigned the whole cast of characters, however Knuckles received the most drastic redesign of them all by far. This version of the echidna was thrown into the classic cliché strongman role, looking significantly bigger than we've ever seen him before, although it looks like he may have skipped a leg day or two. Along with this, he was also dumbed down a lot to fit in with this stereotype, with his intelligence, or lack thereof, used as a butt end of a lot of jokes throughout the game and TV series. Due to Sonic Boom's huge critical and commercial failure, it's likely we won't see this version of Knuckles ever again, and honestly, it's probably for the best. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe and hit that bell icon to receive notifications for when future videos are posted. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.